Welcome back to the Football Terrace. We're here live in Doha. A couple of days break before the big semi-finals kick off. I'm joined by the brilliant Ben Jacobs. How are you? Nice to meet you in person as well.
It's great to see you here in Doha. I love as well. Kudos to you. Every single time you introduce me, you make out like my first name is brilliant, and I quite like that. I think people won't think I am the brilliant Ben Jacobs because not everyone will agree with that, but they might think my name is brilliant. First name and then middle name Ben, surname Jacobs, and I like that.
Good. It's nice to be out here. It's a little cold. It's a little cold this time of night. I'm not going to lie. You were right in your warning to people. I should definitely have bought a jumper. But viewers, what we're going to do is talk a little bit of transfers for you, give you some updates on some of the bigger stories circling on social media as it stands. And there's no bigger place to start than with the fallen goat, as many people are calling him right now. Cristiano Ronaldo in tears as Portugal drop out. He's now a free agent after leaving Manchester United. Where's he going to go?
Maybe we should be calling him a camel with a hump rather than a fallen goat, because we do have camels behind us, which I think that people might be able to see.
We do.
I think Cristiano Ronaldo won't go too far from here. I think he'll end up potentially in Saudi Arabia. That's the only formal offer on the table at the moment. Al Nassr are the club that have provided a formal offer, and they're confident. Now, we should be clear that Cristiano Ronaldo hasn't signed anything yet, but there is a formal offer, and talks started over the summer. Ronaldo didn't say no. He simply said that the timing wasn't right, and that's given Al Nassr a lot of hope. And at the moment, the only formal offer that's been placed comes from Al Nassr. We should look at this not only as an Al Nassr offer, but as a Saudi offer, because the government are also backing this. So it's 60 million in salary and then 120 million in, loosely speaking, commercial money. And some of that is in endorsements, and other aspects of that will be in him selling his image rights. So then Saudi Arabia can use Ronaldo on billboards, like we've seen, for example, for David Beckham here at the Qatar World Cup. And Saudi Arabia might well end up bidding for a World Cup in 2030, and they want Ronaldo to be a part of that. And I think the reason why Al Nassr are confident, Terry, is because they believe that Ronaldo doesn't have to see out the 2.5 years. He could play for half a season. If he gets another offer, there'll be an exit clause on the football side, and then he'd stay affiliated. He'd still be earning a portion of this bumper contract, but he could go elsewhere. So Ronaldo's aim was to put himself in the shop window. He hasn't done that at this World Cup. He leaves his last World Cup without a goal in the knockout stages. So I don't see a club with Champions League football, for example, taking a gamble on him, and that again is why Al Nassr think that they will be his next destination.
So that was my next question. So as it stands, there has been no Bayern Munich's, no Chelsea's, nobody has come in yet formally or unofficially with any kind of offer for Cristiano Ronaldo.
No, the only club that were partially exploring Cristiano Ronaldo were Roma, and Jose Mourinho was interested over the course of the summer, but Jorge Mendes made it clear that Cristiano Ronaldo only wanted instant Champions League football at that point. Now things have changed. No guarantee, of course, that Roma would have Champions League football next season, but that was the distant possibility. But even Roma don't have the finances, so you can't call a move from Roma likely. But it is interesting that there's a manager there in Mourinho who would know what he was getting with Ronaldo and would know how to handle Ronaldo. The challenge with Chelsea, for example, is why would Graham Potter take the risk on Ronaldo? Because it's a personal risk. On the team side, Ronaldo could score goals that Chelsea need. It could work, it could not work, and that is ultimately signing Ronaldo from a Chelsea perspective. But for Potter as a young manager, it's a risk for him personally. And what he's seen is Cristiano Ronaldo slag off Ralf Rangnick, then say he's got no respect for Erik ten Hag, and then fall out with a great ally in Santos and be benched. And it's important to stress that they didn't have an argument. There wasn't a heated disagreement, but what happened is that Santos looked at the team and said, I think that you need to start on the bench against Switzerland, and Ronaldo said, are you sure? And he obviously disagreed with that, and you could see in his demeanour that he wasn't happy, and it impacted the team. And Santos is experienced enough to deal with that, and when Ramos got that hat-trick against Switzerland, it paid off. But for Potter, if Todd Boehly says there is commercial worth and football worth in having Cristiano Ronaldo, at least in the short term, Graham Potter, who's already under pressure, still new to the job, inherits the Ronaldo circus, and he's seen what that does to Portugal. He's seen what that's done to Ten Hag. He's seen what that's done to Ralf Rangnick. why would he, as a non-Mourinho type personality and manager, and someone himself stepping up and trying to prove himself at Chelsea, take the personal risk? Because if it doesn't work out with Ronaldo, then Graham Potter is under even more stress, under even more pressure, and he's got another headache to deal with in the dressing room. And that's why I think it is highly, highly unlikely, if not now impossible, that Chelsea will sign Cristiano Ronaldo.
Great insight there, Ben. Viewers, we want your thoughts and we want your feelings on the Ronaldo news. Leave it in the comments section below. Big shout out to our sponsors for this video as well, One Football, the best one-stop shop for all your football content, stats, updates, and they do stream live Serie A games every single weekend for free at no cost to you. So get the app downloaded right now. I want to talk about Arsenal for a minute. I'm going to come back to Chelsea a little bit later with a story that involves them. But Arsenal Football Club today, we know they're linked to wingers, Mudryk, who you've spoken to personally. Fans want them to go out and buy a DM. But there's a big link today from some credible sources about Joao Felix, a player that people have been tweeting free Felix for about 3 years now from the Diego Simeone system. Gabriel Jesus is now injured, going to miss around 3 months. Could you see Arsenal going in the market for a player such as Joao Felix?
It's very possible, and they were making inquiries about Joao Felix really dating back 2 windows, but it wasn't the right price or fit. And I think that Joao Felix, from what I understand, felt like he might even outlast Diego Simeone at Atletico Madrid a few windows back. And we know now that Simeone will go on his own terms and has the full backing, regardless seemingly as to how well Atleti do or how, I suppose, respected and entertained the fans feel by what's going on at that football club. The style isn't that important because they love his passion still, and he might divide that fan base, but he's clearly got control. And Joao Felix, as you say, needs freeing in terms of the system that he plays in terms of the man management that he's given, and Mikel Arteta would be a very good fit. But what we know is 2 things about Arsenal. One, they don't tend to spend big in January. They were not prepared, for example, last January to put down an insane offer for Dusan Vlahovic. They made a very competitive bid. They tried to jump ahead of Juventus, but all that happened was that Juventus entered the race and got him because the player really always wanted that move to Juventus over Arsenal. But we know that they'll back out. They did it with Rafinha as well when they thought they didn't have a realistic chance of signing Rafinha, and they knew that Chelsea had bid above them, even though Arsenal were first into the race for Rafinha out of the Premier League clubs. They walked away. So this is the challenge with Joao Felix, that regardless of the fact he wants out, and we know that, and he's dropped hints all World Cup that he wants to leave during the winter, but the price still might be a challenge for Arsenal. So we wait and see whether, because of where they are in the league, because they're genuine title contenders, because they can almost, even though we're only halfway through the season and not even that, it looks like they're heading towards Champions League football, so they might choose to spend a little bit more. But I think you're looking at 85 to 95 million euros as a ballpark. And PSG, for example, who are very seriously looking at the player as well, will be prepared to get close to the top end of that. And it remains to be seen whether Arsenal escalate their interest. I would say at the moment they have made serious advances on the player side, but are still working out whether there's market value, and also if there's any cut price deal because of how badly the player wants to leave. They're nowhere near as advanced as other clubs potentially in the race for Joao Felix, nor are Chelsea, by the way, at this stage. But now the World Cup is ending, and from Felix's point of view has ended, things are going to escalate a lot quicker. And I do think it's fair to say that Arsenal have Felix on the radar, but there are other clubs further along, and PSG are the front runner at this stage.
And that's really, I mean, I totally get where you're coming from. I know you know your stuff. I think Arsenal fans need to be demanding of their board. If the player was willing to join, go and get it done, because there is such a great position. And the injury to Gabriel Jesus is a painful one for them. But they've got the money. You know, they've got money, the Cronkies. The club have got money. Go and spend, because they may get a chance again next year to compete. They absolutely may do. But you just see now a 5-point gap. If they can have a good January, spend that money now. Maybe take some of the summer's money and spend it in this January. Maybe they win this league title. And I'm not going to lie, as a United fan, I'm desperate for them to stop City doing a three-peat. So please, I'm not talking to you if you're watching the Cronkies, please go out and buy Joao, buy anyone. Just spend some money and bolster that squad.
I'm just going to give you one name as well, without explanation, but just putting it there on the radar because I think we're going to hear more with Joao Felix. Newcastle United.
Ooh, Newcastle. Newcastle. Another team, of course, financially backed by a nation in this region. And they do mean serious business. And the improvements of that football club in the past 12 months have been astronomical. The performances, the togetherness, almost this, you get this feeling of that squad that, well, we've got to play harder because I don't want to be one of the first out the door because Newcastle are going back to the very, very top. So Joao Felix to Newcastle, you heard it here from the brilliant Ben Jacobs first. Now I wanted to ask you about Man United. A big rumour today that they may be entering the race, £80 to £90 million bid potentially for, again, he's been brilliant at this tournament. He's in a semi-final in a few days' time. But the Chelsea target, Gvardiol, is now linked to Manchester United as well. Do you see that being a genuine possibility with, Varane and Martinez doing so well? What's your understanding of that situation?
Yeah, Manchester United have looked at Gvardiol. I think that what people don't realise by these new links is, again, they date back to the summer, and Manchester United and Chelsea were both looking at Gvardiol, and now I think Chelsea need him a whole lot more than Manchester United, and it's a lot of money to pay. And the confidence at Chelsea's end comes from the fact that they almost pre-agreed something already for Gvardiol towards the end of the window, and they tried to do what they've done with Nkunku and get terms agreed and lock in a price. And it's often not just about the number, but the structure. So when you choose to pay a little bit more and try and create a situation where maybe it feels above market value, you then decide to spread the payment terms over 4, 5, 6 years instead of having to give cash up front. That's, by the way, the challenge with Joao Felix as well, that Atleti, knowing the player wants to leave, are just saying it's a straight cash deal only, there'll be no swap deal, and they're going to want to get the best possible payment terms. Whereas with Gvardiol, the group he is a part of, if you like, their strategy will allow for preferential payment terms to the buying club in return for a higher price, because they'd rather take the money over a longer period of time. They don't need it up front in the same way that a big club might. And the reason for that is because they're not out looking for players at 100+ million. They are trying
they shop lower down the market.
Precisely. So you divide that by 4 or 5, but you get like 90 million, 100 million for a player like that. And then you don't get it all in one go, but you get a steady stream of income coming in, which helps balance the books. And you know that you've also got a conveyor belt of sales going out. So it's a very smart financial model that isn't reliant on big surges of cash. So you're trying to get the highest possible price, and the structure can be quite preferential to a buying club. And this is why Chelsea are very confident. I think that Manchester United could enter the race, and I think that the World Cup might crystallise that desire, but if they do, then it suddenly becomes a bidding war, because I don't see Chelsea going away.
It's an interesting one, and listen, I kind of look at Man United and you think Rafael Varane, can the body hold out? The Maguire situation is going to be interesting because he's had a very good World Cup overall. Will that give him the confidence? Will he be back in the first team? Lissandro's been absolutely sensational. He's in a World Cup semi-final along with Rafael Varane. So do Man United really need to bolster in that area? That remains to be seen. I think a lot of United fans would rather, in January, that 80 to 90 million go towards a striker. And that's the strangest thing I've seen walking around the streets, is a man with a bird of prey on his arm in the middle of the streets. And then just people getting directions from him. Sorry to digress, ladies and gentlemen, but it threw me. I think it's a falcon. It's got a hat on. It's a falcon. There you go, look at that. I know me birds. But we may see him as he walks past. Look at this. Come and see this. Come here, please. I just want to show my viewers. I want to show the viewers.
Here we go.
Come here, brother. He didn't want to come on. Maybe he stole the bird, I don't know. But just walking around with a bird in his hand.
You know why he didn't want to come on? Because he heard us talking about the Magpies.
Yeah, this is true. So, I think Man United fans would really prefer a striker to come in. Is that a possibility?
It is, yeah. I think also we should add with Gvardiol that is as likely, if not more likely, especially with the World Cup and a possible price surge, to be for the summer anyway. So a club like Manchester United don't necessarily have to rush on that in order to get a deal done. But what a lot will depend on is whether or not we get a situation where potentially the deal has to escalate because we're in a bidding war. I love the fact as well that we have Moroccan fans behind us too.
It's great.
And that was a
they're
beautiful
everywhere here. The
flag.
streets
Let's bring them over.
Hello. Hello.
Hi, I'm from
We
Morocco.
have loved
Nice to
Morocco.
meet you, guys.
London, England.
London. Oh, I'm sorry for
You
that.
have played a good game, really.
Yeah,
It was so great,
So we
and
play France.
what you deserve to. In my opinion, personally, I like your team.
Thank you,
Yeah,
thank you.
yeah.
But we are all Morocco now. We all want Morocco to be in the final.
It's a prep choice. Oh, really? Thank you. Nice to hear you.
We need you to beat the Frenchies. You got to beat the French. You got to beat the French.
100% we will beat France. 100%.
Give us the receipt.
So,
Give us the receipt.
Give you what, sorry?
Give us the secret, because you played well against us. Yes.
We did, yeah.
Stop Mbappe. Stop France.
So
Yes.
have
And
a
also
great
score your
defense.
penalties.
We have a great defense. Hakimi Mizraoui from Bayern Munich, Hakimi from Paris Saint-Germain. We have Nair from West Ham. We have Saïs, he used to play in Wolves. We have Amrabat, he's a great midfield defensive. So we believe that we will go to the final.
Absolutely.
We want to make Africa proud of this team. So
I'm sure you do, and you will. Congratulations on making it, and good
you so
luck,
much,
gentlemen.
guys.
Good
All
luck,
the best.
gentlemen, and we'll speak
Good
to you
luck,
soon.
good
Take
luck.
care,
Good luck.
gentlemen.
Good luck.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yes, this was great. That was nice. It's spontaneous. There we go. You said about United looking at a striker.
Yeah, I think Manchester United need a striker. We know that, and I may have said to you before, even when Ronaldo was at the club, that was always the plan. But it's about the type of striker now. So when Ronaldo was at the club, you're hoping that he's going to be a mentor. So you maybe buy younger, and then you integrate them into the side. A bit like, I suppose, Newcastle with HIJACK, and Callum Wilson is still there, Chris Wood is still there. You've got time.
Yeah.
Now they need a Ronaldo replacement, and they need someone that can come straight in and score goals. And of course, they need to get, as an aside, Rashford to sign that new deal. And I think that there's a very strong possibility of that. PSG tell me that it's leverage from their point of view, and they're being a bit used in order to get the best possible deal. So he's there, obviously.
But they
with
would
goals.
sign him, would they?
Yeah,
They would sign
Nasser
him.
Al Khalifi said that if Rashford's available, you're taking Marcus Rashford. It's as simple as that.
Of course.
But I think that there's a few names to throw out there with Manchester United. One, which is interesting, is Ramos, who they've been linked with before. And everyone's talking about the hat-trick and the World Cup and a price increase. But he's the one player, actually, that won't be that affected by this World Cup because he was on so many radars even before the World Cup. So PSG came very close to signing him, and several Premier League clubs looked. Wolves, with a great affiliation with Portuguese players, were one. Southampton took a look, and so did Manchester United. And ironically, given what we've seen he can do, price at around 40 million euros was seen to be too high. Wolves felt like it was a 30 million deal, and obviously they've not got the same kind of budget. Manchester United may be prepared to look a little bit higher, but they were not convinced at that point, so they never seriously advanced things. Now they might choose to change that, because what you learn from the World Cup is that the player can do it on a big occasion.
Yep.
And that can be really important when they're young. And also, let's not forget, he scored 14 goals for Benfica as well. So he scored 18 goals in 2022 for club and country. 3 at this World Cup, 1 other for Portugal, 14 for Benfica. And with a release clause of 120 million euros, which is obviously nowhere near his actual valuation, they're under no obligation to sell. But something around the 50 million euros now might do it. And we need to wait and see whether clubs that said, no, he's only worth 30 million will come back,
Yeah.
or say that price is still too high and you're inflating it because of one World Cup game. So that's one option. I think that Victor Osimhen is a harder sell because the player himself is very happy at Napoli,
They're doing so well.
and the price is going to be sky high.
Yeah.
And then it wouldn't surprise me, and Manchester United have done this quite well historically, where they've brought in a more known player and a bit older player, and people have raised their eyebrows. Like, remember when they signed, going way back now, Sheringham or Owen, and people said, well, why are you doing that? And they ended up either coming off the bench and having an impact, or starting and having an impact. And I think that there's 1 or 2 in that category. They're not going to buy as old, but Ivan Toney is one example. And I don't know how you feel as a Manchester United fan about a player like that, but
I would
not to
personally
be
like him.
discounted.
I would personally like him, and we need someone, and I think a player like that at the right price could be massive. Viewers, what do you think? What do Manchester United need? let us know. Hit the like and the share buttons. Leave your comments below. Ben, always a pleasure and great to meet you in person.
Great to
It's
meet
been a
you
long
as well.
time coming.
Enjoy the World Cup.
I will. It's absolutely wonderful. I'm loving it. Until next time, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And we'll see you all again soon. Thank you.